I heard a knock at 9:17 p.m. I recall the time because I was halfway through reheating frozen lasagna while watching a rerun of Seinfeld. I didn't expect anyone, especially not her. When I opened the door and found Marissa standing there barefoot holding a wine bottle in one hand and pulling her long sweater off one shoulder, my throat tightened. I hadn't seen her in weeks since her husband packed up and drove away with the arrogant silence that only cowards have when they leave. She added, "I thought you could use some company," smiling gently as she often did when trying to hide something broken. I should have said no. I should have taken a step back and closed the door with a phony excuse, but I simply didn't. Instead, I moved aside. "Come inside." She went calmly past me as if she owned the area and we hadn't been playing this deadly game for months, constantly towing the line and never quite crossing it. The perfume of her lavender and something warmer reached me as she passed, and for a little moment I forgot how to breathe. "It's nice and lonely in here." She continued looking about my flat and stopped in the kitchen. I attempted to sound nonchalant. "It's just me and George Costanza tonight." She laughed, producing a low, warm sound that filled the room more than it should have. Poor guy. "Do you mind if I enhance your evening?" I nodded before my mind could catch up. "Glasses are in the cabinet. You asked me to—" "No, I got it," she said, opening the bottle as if it were her own, as if this wasn't something we'd both regret. We sat on the floor back against the couch with two glasses between us, the TV muted but still flickering. She tucked her legs under her and leaned gently toward me as if gravity had simply drawn her closer. "I'm not allowed to be here," she whispered, quietly peering into her drink. I wanted to ask why, but I knew already. Her spouse Eric was a coworker and to some extent a friend. We enjoyed beers together and watched games. But the truth was that Marissa and I had always seen each other in ways we shouldn't have, with lingering looks and jokes that seemed like secrets. "Do you miss him?" I asked, immediately regretting it. She blinked slowly. "I miss not being invisible." Silence, heavy, dense. I shifted my fingers, brushing across hers. Neither of us moved away. I felt her staring at me before I turned. She muttered, "I used to come home and wonder if he would even notice if I disappeared. But you always noticed me, even when you weren't meant to." My heart crashed into my ribs. "Marissa, I'm not asking for anything," she added hastily, her voice shaking just enough to be hazardous. "I just needed to feel something tonight, something genuine, something I'd regret in the morning." Her hand slipped to my thigh, neither high nor low, just there. And yet I did not stop her. I took a good look at her and saw everything I wasn't expecting. Pain, hunger, and confusion, desire. And something else dared me to fall. "I don't want to hurt anyone," I explained, despite the fact that my body was already betraying me. "I'm already hurt," she responded. She leaned in cautiously as if expecting me to run. Her lips barely touched mine and my world tilted. It wasn't a true kiss, that was a question. And I answered it. I couldn't remember putting the wine down. My hand touched the side of her neck and her flesh was hot against my palm. Her breath caught. The kiss deepened. There was no rush or pandemonium, only heat, sluggish and twisting. But then I drew back, pulse hammering and breath wobbly. I mumbled, "This is wrong." I know she said, her gaze probing mine, but does it feel wrong? It did not. That terrified me more than anything. I did not sleep that night. Not because something occurred, but because it nearly did. I rehearsed the kiss in my mind 100 times. Her lips, the way her hand hung just above my chest, as if she wasn't sure whether to bring me closer or push me away. Long after she had left, I could still taste wine on my tongue. She only stayed for maybe an hour, tops. She stood up after the kiss, drew her sweater tightly about her, and murmured, "I should leave." I did not stop her. I did not walk her to the door. I just sat there as she vanished into the corridor, barefoot and broken. The following morning, I convinced myself it was over. A moment of weakness, loneliness, and two people getting into an unsuitable situation. But the thing with crossing a line is that you can't deny it happened. 3 days passed with no messages, knocks, or embarrassing encounters. I almost convinced myself it was finished. Then came the text. "May I borrow your Wi-Fi again? The router has gone out and I need to send my CV." Simple, innocent, and complete nonsense. I responded before I had the chance to reconsider. "Yes, the door's open." It was raining when she arrived. She wore a black hoodie, her wet hair clinging to her cheeks. She looked like she had been racing through a thunderstorm. Or perhaps she simply carried one inside her. Still raining, she mumbled, shaking her sleeves like a child. Your place smells like burned coffee. Better than burnt regrets. I laughed. However, my voice was too tight to be amusing. She grinned anyhow. You always use sarcasm to deflect, and you always turn up when I least expect it. She lifted her eyebrow. You did not expect me? I did not say that. We stood in quiet, the air between us so dense that I could hardly swallow. I watched a drop of rain fall from her jawline and down her throat. It vanished into her hoodie, and I noticed I was looking. I stepped back and added, The Wi-Fi password is the same. Do you recall it? She nodded. But I'm not here for the Wi-Fi. There it was. Honesty. Sharp unwrapped. I waited. I'm not sure why. Perhaps I needed her to say it out loud. To acknowledge what we were doing. Perhaps I wanted her to give me a cause to stop. I dreamt about you, she added, removing her hoodie. A tank top clung to her as if it were second skin. I had a dream that I was standing in your kitchen with you behind me. You mentioned my name as if it were a secret. My mouth became dry. That is not fair, I stated gently. I understand. She walked past me and went right to the cashier. Her fingertips grazed the surface like if she were reliving something that had never happened. She then turned to face me. Do you think I'm a mess I believe you are hurting? She took a step forward. So you want to fix me? No, I muttered. I'd like to quit wanting you. Another step. So why do you look at me like that? Because you make me forget who I am meant to be. Now we were inches apart. My back met the wall, but she continued coming. She did not touch me, just hovered close enough for heat to flow between us like a current. He cheated. I know twice. I forgive him both times. Then he went like if I were the problem. I'm not him, I said, sharper than I meant. She flinched and nodded. I understand. We stood there looking one other in the eyes and breathing together. Then she kissed me again. This time it's harder. Desperate, there are no questions, without hesitation. I gave in. My hands reached her waist and slid up her back underneath the tank top. Her skin was warm and wet, and I despised how appropriate that felt. She slammed her body into mine, her mouth working quickly and her breath shallow. But then I stopped. I drew back, chest heaving. Wait. Her eyes were wild, her lips parted, and her pupils popped wide open. What, we can't do it? I replied despite my body screaming otherwise. Her jaw stiffened. Why not? Because this is not healing. This is devastation. She looked at me, her expression flashing. Rage, hurt, shame. I thought you wanted me. I do, I replied. God, I do, but not like this. A heartbeat. Then she took a step back, crossing her arms over her chest. Don't pretend you're better than me, she whispered quietly. I am not. I am just afraid. Her laughter was chilly, of what regret note. I don't regret it. The room was unusually silent. The rain continued to fall outside, tapping on the windows as if it wanted to get inside. She turned aside and paced slowly. I don't want to be a mistake, she added almost silently. You are not. So why do I feel like one I did not have an answer? She took her hoodie from the chair and slipped it on. This was stupid. I should not have come. I watched her walk to the door, every part of me screaming for her to halt. But I did not. I allowed her to open it. She lingered briefly before leaving. She had not dreamed it. You genuinely said my name as if it was a secret. Then she left, leaving me alone with the silence, the storm, and the echo of her mouth on mine. She did not text me for a week. There are no alcohol bottles, hoodies, or barefoot footsteps echoing down the corridor. Just silence. A complete hush that started to seem like punishment. I checked her Instagram more than I would admit. Nothing new. Her most recent post was the same black and white snapshot of her resting her chin on her knees with the comment, trying to breathe. Eric returned to work that Monday. I did not glance at him. I could not. He walked past me in the hallway, nodding as if we were still friends, as if his wife hadn't kissed me twice, and I didn't still feel her fingers ghosting across my skin when I was alone in the dark. And the guilt hit me again. As it always has. But remorse did not stop the desire. Want didn't mind that she was off limits. And I was certain that if she knocked on my door again, I would not tell her to leave. I assured myself that staying away was the best decision. Allowing it to die in silence was noble safe, or whatever the heck people persuaded themselves when they were too afraid to finish what they started. But she showed up again. Not at my place, in my office. It's middle of the day. Hair down, sunglasses, and black top tucked into trousers. She looked different. more composed, sharper, dangerous. Can we speak? She asked, standing at the break room doorway, her voice low. I followed her out without saying anything. She guided me to her car. We sat there, the doors closed, and the air conditioner hummed gently. I'm moving, she finally said. The words hit me like a slap I was unprepared for. Where? Back at my sister's. 3 hours north. I stared at the dashboard. Why? She let forth a quiet, humorless laugh. Because this city has too many ghosts. She didn't look at me when she said that, but I could feel the meaning in my chest like a bruise. I assumed you were not going to run, I said. I'm not running, she said. I'm escaping. She then turned toward me. I came to say goodbye. No, I replied too fast. You don't get to do that. You can't put me on fire and then walk away. I never intended to bring you into this. Yes, you did, I snapped. You knocked on my door with drink-damp hair and pain in your eyes, and you knew what was going to happen. Her lips twitched. I needed someone. So did I. We sat in quiet, breathing too hard and speaking too little. Then she whispered, Do you regret it? No, I replied. I regretted not taking more. That shattered something in her. She leaned over the center console and kissed me. This time, however, we did not stop. I don't remember how we got into the back seat. I can't recall what came off first. All I remember is the sound of her breath in my ear, her fingers tangled in my shirt, and her mouth pressing against mine as if it were the only thing keeping us alive. It wasn't quick. It was not rough. It was urgent and silent like a plea spoken inside a burning cathedral. She laid there with her head on my chest, moist skin and swollen lips. I stared at the ceiling in her automobile, feeling everything and nothing. She ran a line down my stomach and remarked, This changes nothing. I nodded. I understand. I'm still leaving. I will not stop you, but she did not move. Not yet. She muttered, I didn't want it to end like this. I studied her, memorizing the lines of her jaw, the curve of her shoulder, and the way she looked at me as if I were the only place she'd ever felt secure. It hasn't finished, I explained. We're simply pretending it has. When she dropped me off, she didn't kiss me or cry. Instead, she gazed at me as if she was trying to burn the image into her memory. Then she said it. I love you. And before I could respond or even blink, she pulled away. I stood alone in the parking lot watching the taillights fade into the late afternoon gloom. I have not seen her since. I'm not sure if she texted me and I erase it or if she doesn't text at all. I'm not sure if she truly meant it when she said she loved me or if she just wanted to believe it to make the farewell feel less terrible. However, some evenings while laying in bed, I hear the knock again. In my thoughts, it's always 9 to 17. She's always barefoot and I'm always welcoming her in.